Okay, so I broke down and bought myself a new toy and a new tool for the lawnmower hobby repair business that I've been running. One of the things I would like to have had was the ability to check cylinders of chainsaws and weed eaters. You can check lawnmowers also, but weed eaters and chainsaws usually tend to get scoring, losing compression because not enough oil was put into the gasoline. So you check the compression and all that kind of stuff, and you come up with a pretty good idea that it's bad. But if you can actually get a camera or see inside the cylinder, you can see the scoring, and then you can make a determination if it's even worth repairing the chainsaw or the weed eater. You know, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was big into technology. I remember calling my internet provider. Back then it was dial-up. This was back in the 90s. And I was trying to hook up 2 computers to the internet. And they said you couldn't do it. You had to buy another phone line with another internet connection. So I actually figured out if I could get a hub. Went to Best Buy and got a hub. And I know I'm making a big long story out of nothing, but I ended up doing it. I was able to hook up one computer as a server computer, and then we drove all the other computers off that one server. The internet was slow back then. It was dial-up, but it worked. So, I mean, I was always into that kind of stuff, but nowadays I'm not into it. I guess I got burned out. This thing I got here I'm pretty impressed with. It's a camera that comes onto a wire. So we'll open it up. You can see it's got a big old screen on it. And then down here at the end is the camera. That's 16 feet that it can span. And it was cheap. I bought it off Amazon, and now I don't sell things off my YouTube page, so you can look around, buy whatever you want. But if you want the name brand, this is Endoscope. Industrial Endoscope is the one I got. I'm not recommending it. I don't know if it's any better than the others or any worse. I just happen to like this one. It was the first one I bought. And it was pretty cheap. I think it was, I don't know, somewhere between $30 and $40. Let's just call it $35. And I got this nice little camera. The downside to it is, being a YouTuber, it would be nice if it had an SD card. It doesn't. But again, that's just because of being a YouTuber. I could put that in my editor and I could show you what I'm seeing. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to put this in front of the camera so you can see what it is I'm doing. But that's a minor problem. If I didn't have YouTube, it wouldn't even be a consideration, I don't think. So it's easy to operate. You turn it on. And I've got it going the wrong way. I thought I had it facing you. So that's the camera doing this work here. Now the camera has LED lights on it. So again, what you're seeing is what the camera's picking up here. It might be confusing to me, but it's simple. You can zoom in. Let's see, that's 1.5, that's 2.0, that's 1.5, so it starts to back off. And then you can flip the camera, so that's upside down. Of course, I don't know how big of a deal that is. I mean, you just flip that, but you get the idea. You can make it brighter, the LED, so that's 80%. And that doesn't go to 100, that's 60, that's 0, so there's no light on now. Keep pushing it, brings it back to 60 and 80. This next one turns it to like a black and white color. Not sure the benefit of that, but I'm sure there's a purpose. So it's really pretty cool to have. Another reason I'd like to have this, or the reason I got it, was if you have to look inside the oil sump of a lawnmower, sometimes those compression reliefs break. As a matter of fact, I just changed a camshaft on this engine. It had a broken compression relief. You may remember that. It's right here. The compression relief is gone. So what I did was I stuck a magnet inside the sump to see if I could pull out any metal. Well, I could also use this camera to look at the camshaft itself to see if it's broke, if it's missing. Of course, you got to wiggle that around, and you know, I guess I'm gonna have to learn how to use it. It's not too easy to wiggle around, I don't think. So I wanted to show you an example of what it can do. I have this pipe here, just a piece of pipe. I plugged it up so there's no light coming in on the other end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to fish this down into the pipe so you can see that so we're in the pipe already. We're going to go around the curve. So we got to get it to bend around the curve. There we went. There we got it. Now can you see it? Okay, so now we're in the inside the pipe itself, and I don't think this camera, the one that you're watching the film from, actually picked up on me putting it inside the pipe. But see, then you can just manipulate it around. I've got a video, you may remember, I had an old cell phone and people wanted to see down into the well. Yeah, I took that old cell phone, I turned the light on, I put it in a Ziploc bag, and I lowered that cell phone down into the well so you guys could see the well pipe. I also wanted to see if the well casing was broke. So I lowered that down in there. Now, that was 80 feet, 90 feet that we lowered that down, I think. This is only 16 feet, but that would be pretty neat to lower that down into that well. Of course, it's all sealed up now. I'm not going to tear it all apart just so I can play with it. Now, some of the things that I've thought about being able to use this on, in my wood stove, there is a gap in between the roof and the ceiling. It's kind of like an attic in there. And I took that in camera and I was able to fish that up in there. And that way I could see if it was accumulating any creosote or anything. It'd be a real good indication if it was building up creosote into the chimney. Of course, you could just lower it down into the chimney. I'd have to take off like one pipe, and 16 feet would be enough. Now, some other things you may be able to use it on. If you drilled a hole in your wall, you would be able to look for plumbing. If you get around the insulation, I mean, you wouldn't want to do it on an exterior wall because there'd be insulation there. But on interior walls, you could check your plumbing and your electrical, see if there's any electric in there. If you want to hammer or drill or anything, you could make sure that you're not going to hit anything. Or if you're just doing construction. Like I said, the mechanical part of it, using it on engines is going to be, I'll use it all the time. I could have just used it the other day. Like I said, use it for that compression relief. But you could also just use it around the house, looking behind a shelf or behind a dresser to see if you drop something. I just used it a little while ago, dropped something down into the crack of the porch here. It was a knife, a cooking utensil, steak knife, and couldn't see where it was at just by looking down there, and I didn't want to crawl underneath, so I grabbed the camera and I fished around and I found it. Then I have this little magnet on a stick thing, and I was able to reach down there and grab it. So a lot of opportunities. Now, I know that I say a lot that we shouldn't, spend a lot of money on your dreams. But, having tools to work for a business that you're wanting to start, I don't see as a big deal. The other thing is I'm not spending a lot of money. I always buy the cheap thing. People say you got to have the best tools. You got to have snap-on tools. I don't know. I bought Walmart. They lasted me all season so far. I'm pretty impressed with them. So I don't know if I need to have the snap-on tools. Here's the thing about living your dream is a lot of people don't live their dream simply because they can't afford it. Got to go get a loan, a business loan and all that. One of the first things people started griping at me about is I didn't have a garage, a shed, something to do my lawnmower repair business. It was one of the first things they said to me in the comments section. Well, I proved to you that I worked all summer and did a pretty good business. I was always busy, and I worked on this patio right here. It suited me just fine. I mean, we had cleaned it up. At first, we didn't have it accessible for lawnmowers, but it did just fine. If I'd had to have a building, I would have never started. It would have never happened. So I just struggle that the thing that's holding everybody back from living their dreams is because they think they got to have the best of everything. And I have proven that you just don't. The other day, YouTube's been doing a little bit of experimenting, I can tell. About twice a week, they push out a video really hard, one of your new videos. They've never done that before. And so for the last couple of weeks, they take 2 videos a week, 3 videos a week, and they just shove it out. So I post my videos at my time at 3 p.m. And by 8 p.m., they're starting to really push it. And it pushes all the way until the next day, until about 1 p.m., and then it dies off. Another one, the timing was a little bit different. They didn't push it until the very next day. And they pushed it all the way until that evening. And then it just dies off. Well, I did a video about my batteries. So they push it out to a new audience that don't understand what I'm trying to do with living your dreams and saving money and all that stuff. And I said I use lead acid. And I bet there was and of course there's a few subscribers that I've had for a long time, understand what I'm doing, and they agree that lead acid is really good. But all these new people came in, oh, lead acid's junk. Get yourself lithium-ion batteries. Get yourself battle-born batteries. And, you know, they started quoting all these statistics and everything and how great they are, and they don't catch on fire, which is wrong. They do catch on fire. They can catch on fire. They're not fireproof like these people seem to think. And when they do catch on fire, it's a lot worse than lead acid. Lead acid is a hydrogen, oxygen. It can produce hydrogen and oxygen, and it will cause an explosion. But once it explodes, that's it. You're done. Whereas lithium ion just burns and burns and burns and burns. But they were all just criticizing. But if I'd have bought the battle-born batteries back then, I don't know what they cost now, but if I'd have bought them back then, you know, it would have been $1,000 a piece. I have 400 amp hours. I have 400 amp hours of batteries down there. If I'd have bought the same amount of amp hour batteries for the battle-born, that'd have been $4,000. It'd have been out of budget. That's as much as this place cost. So I wouldn't have been able to live my dreams because I gotta have the best. Or I can buy lithium or lead acid batteries for $100 a piece. Well, I guess it was I guess I'm at the $800 is where I'm at. So much less. And I'm actually doing what I want to do. Is it perfect? No, I guess not, because, you know, battle-born batteries. But it works. So that's what I don't understand. If it works, why do you have to have the best? I've never understood it. So if you'll click this up next box to take you to a video where I was working on something, so if I can inspire you not to get the best, so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.